Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
What is going on, team? Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. The topic for today is something that I feel I personally go through as the season starts to change, as it gets darker and gloomier out. So I hope you guys get some good value. But before we dive into it, I want to shout out two of our members at CrossFit Max, Justin and Fred. They are both raising money for Movember. And Movember is to help raise awareness for men's mental health, suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer. It's for a great cause. Both of these guys are doing a fun little fitness challenge to raise a lot of money, whether that's kilometers on the bike or push-ups or pull-ups. Whatever they're doing, it's freaking awesome. And in the show notes down below, I'm going to link both of their fundraisers. So if you feel like going to raise some money with them and donate, click on one of those or even both of them. All right, let's get into today's episode. Three, two, one.
Hello,
We live.
everybody.
What's up, team?
Susie here.
And Brandon.
And we're your favorite podcast hosts ever. Did you know, Brandon,
Oh boy. What?
that we are in the 1%?
Oh, that's a good banter topic for today.
Tell the people what 1% were. Well, actually, I'm in the 1% of a lot of things because
Your
only...
good looks?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, darling. Only like 1% of the population has ever completed a marathon, and I've done that. So I'm in the 1% there. But that's not the 1%
Is
I'm
it
talking about.
1% or less than 1%?
I think it's less than 1% of the
Yeah.
world's population has ran a marathon.
Shout out to those 99%.
Those are Brandon's people.
You guys get me.
But anyways, that is not the 1% I was talking about. What 1%
What? Oh, you know
are
what?
we of?
I have a
No.
I have a curious question on that.
You can't
What
answer
is
a
the
question with a
percent-
question.
What is the percent of people who have done more than one marathon?
I don't know.
The reason I'm saying that is because Susie has done one marathon.
I was a one and done kind of gal.
Yeah.
I mean, never say never. I'm only 28, babe. I'm so young.
Yeah.
I have my life ahead of me.
You're in your 20s. I don't even know what that feels like anymore.
Yeah, senior citizen over here. Just kidding. You're super young. I know we have listeners way older than you.
I got my haircut today. And
Brandon, we were talking about the 1%.
the barber.
Okay, wait. I would just like to preface that before we hit record on this podcast, Brandon goes, I can't ask and answer all the questions. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, I'll take the lead. And then I tried taking the lead and you changed the subject like 3 times.
No, it has something to go with what you were just saying, age. So on a side note here, I got my haircut this morning.
You just can't let me lead.
And the barber, who just turned 75 years old, like
Jesus
2 weeks ago, he asked me if I did anything for Halloween. I said, no, Norm. I'm an old man now. I'm 30 years old. I don't do that stuff anymore. But anyway, so
Was that your story?
that was my story about the age here. Yeah. Okay, so
You are an old man, correct. But
What-
anyways, back to my question.
what is the 1%? So apparently 90% of
This is a fact that we got from Instagram.
90% of people who start a podcast do not make it past episode 1. So they create one episode and never make another podcast again.
Lame.
9% don't make it past 20 episodes. And we are now, I can't remember the exact one, but we're on episode 28.
29 maybe?
Maybe, yeah. We've done more than 26, that's for sure, because we did our 6 months. I can't remember if this is our 29th one. But yeah, so we are in the 1% of podcasters who
Wow.
have made it more than 20 or 21 episodes.
Well done.
Yeah.
And if you are listening to this episode and you've listened to all the other episodes, you are also in the 1%, guys.
No, I think more people listen. Actually, podcasts are taking off. It's grown exponentially.
I love listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
I listen to so many podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I walk the dog, just pop that bad boy on.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't listen to our own podcast, though, because I find my own voice annoying. So I'm sorry if you agree.
No comment.
Brandon's like, yuck. I married her.
No. I love your voice.
Aw,
Yeah.
thanks.
But anyways, that was a fun banter topic.
So, how did I do?
I would like to know from our listeners, actually.
Whoa. I was asking for feedback.
You did great. You did
Okay,
great.
Thanks.
I would like to know from our listeners. Send us a DM on Instagram or Facebook, or you can email us if you'd like also. How do you guys listen to our podcast? Do you listen to it
Spotify.
on, well, you can let us know what platform you listen to, although we can actually see all that stuff. But I want to know how.
Oh,
I wanna know
like
how,
what are you
like-
doing
yeah,
when
like-
you're listening?
Yeah, like, are you guys listening when you're going for
Driving?
walks? Are you going for, yeah, I listen all the time when I'm in the car because I find like that's just wasted time. Now, granted, sometimes I just want to jam out to some music, but to me, if you can get some actual knowledge put into your brain while you're doing useless things like driving around.
Driving isn't, yeah, I guess it is useless. I also listen to a podcast when I go to the grocery store while I'm doing my
Okay.
groceries.
That's cool. Yeah.
Shout out to Cam. Bumped into him at Costco the other day.
Yeah. Did you have to take out your podcast?
Yeah, it was like, it was just getting good, Cam. What do you want? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So groceries, walking the dog, driving your car.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some people, I mean, I find this is crazy, but some people are able to listen to like while reading books or while working.
No.
That's absurd to me.
No,
That's really like your brain is just on another level of intelligence.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Anyways,
I
good
would
banter
start
topic.
typing the podcast. Does that ever happen to you if you're like listening to music when you're like writing an email or something and then you start
Yeah.
typing the lyrics and you're like, whoa, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, kind sir. I did not mean to write as in the email.
There's a song that came into your head in that moment.
That's all I got.
I'm gonna double check all the emails that were sent.
I wonder why people aren't getting back to me. It's so weird.
Why is Sammy not responding to my free trial request? All right,
Okay.
let's get into it. So
that was really all over the place for an
Yeah.
intro, guys. I'm sorry. Brandon told me to take the lead, but
yeah.
then couldn't let me.
Shout out to Norm the barber, 75 years old, still
75 years young.
still cutting hair.
Brandon drives all the way to Vaudreuil to get his hair cut by Norm.
Yeah, solid 15 to 20 minutes of driving there and back.
Oh, good podcast listening time.
Very true, and I did listen to a podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, and I do listen to all of our podcasts
I
because
know
you do
because
the editing.
I edit them, so I hear
Yeah.
them when I edit them.
Yeah, but I always like to listen back. Okay, we are getting on to the topic of
Depression.
seasonal depression. This is something that I feel hits me every single year. I am maybe a summer baby at heart. I was born in August, and I was
You were accidentally
I was
an
born-
Australian born in
I was
Canada.
born in the wrong country. But yeah, I love the heat. I love the sun. I love the sun on my skin. I love the fresh air. And I hate the cold. And I hate the darkness. And I hate everything
I hate
that
Canada from November
hate
to
this
March.
goddamn country. I'm moving. No, unfortunately not. I do love this country quite a bit. But that being said, the reason we're making this podcast is because
The time has changed.
the time is about to change. We're recording this on Thursday, and this upcoming weekend, the time is falling back an hour.
But
But you got
there is some really good news.
what's that?
We get an extra hour of sleep.
We do get 1 extra hour of sleep. That's it. Is it worth it for all the darkness we're gonna have to endure?
Okay, well, someone's trying to be optimistic over here, Mr. Darkness.
You can see that my seasonal depression is already hitting.
I feel like this is seasonal anxiety right now because the depression hasn't hit yet.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So, I mean, we wanted to make this episode because it is something that our systems actually get affected
For sure.
quite a bit.
Even if it's like a rainy day, I feel like my mood is affected. So
Yeah.
I can imagine that over the next, whatever it is, 5 months, where we have significantly more darkness, significantly less warmth and sunlight, that it's going to have an impact on your overall mood.
Mm-hmm. Your overall mood, how you're feeling in your body, how
Energy levels.
how your energy is, how you choose your food and what you want to eat. All these things have a huge impact. based on the season that we're about to enter. So for those of you guys who live in the northern hemisphere, right, Canada, most all our Canadian listeners, I mean, we do have some that are listening down south. Sometimes we get to see some fun countries that are listening to the podcast in warm climates, which I'm envious of.
If that's you, screw you. Don't listen to this episode. Bye.
Yeah, go to the next one.
You don't understand hard things.
But for the Canadians, we're about to go into a period. So I don't want it to sound so
morbid,
but we are about to actually enter the darkest period of the entire year. Mm-hmm. So every day from summer, which for us is June 21st,
yep,
all the way until December 21st, we lose a little bit of sunlight every single day. So we're dropping this podcast at the beginning of November, which means we are still losing sunlight every single day. So that means that naturally outside, it's going to be more dark. And also, depending on the job that you have, you're going to get much less.
Little to no sunshine.
Yeah. You might not only get zero sunlight exposure on your actual skin, but you might also visibly see the sun less.
Yeah, because the sun is going to be setting more around like 4:30 instead of like 9 o'clock in the summertime.
Is it 4:30? I feel like it's going to be like 4.
Let me check on the day that this podcast comes out what the sunrise and the sunset time will be.
Give it a little peek here. Okay. But while you're doing that, commercial break. No,
join CrossFit Max.
So we've released a few episodes, the last few episodes, and we've kind of done them in this order for the reason where we talked about immune system, right? So naturally you're going to be seeing a lot less sun and getting a lot less sun exposure. You're going to be inside more. Your immune system is going to be more compromised. It's going to be much colder outside and less warm. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back and listen to it, but it goes really well with some of the things that we're going to discuss in this podcast. But having a stronger immune system is going to make you obviously feel better as well, because you definitely do not want to get sick during this time of year.
No.
Which is the most common time to get sick. And we also, in the last podcast, talked about the balanced nutrition approach. So both of those things go hand in hand with the topic for today. So if you haven't listened to those, make sure you do go listen to those. They will give you some good insight onto how to create a full, healthy body moving forward here, which is going to be crucial for seasonal depression time.
Yeah. Speaking of.
Yeah.
Last year on November 8th. So November 8th is the day that this comes out. Last year on November 8th, the sun rose at 6:45 a.m. and set at 4:34.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's going to get darker and darker all the way until December.
Yeah.
And colder as well. So naturally, less and less people are going to want to go outside.
And it's definitely challenging to get outside too. Like there's just like more to it. You have to wear so many layers or else it's quite unbearable.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing about it not just getting darker, but because it's getting colder, not just wearing layers, but for example, if you're someone who goes for a walk, maybe during this time of the year, you might go for a walk for 45 to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, you put in your sweater, maybe you're putting on your fall jacket versus come like January, February, when it becomes like minus 15 degrees outside, you're like, I don't want to go for a 60-minute walk. It's freezing no matter how many layers. I have a winter jacket, I have a hat, gloves, all this stuff.
That's me.
And you're like, you know what? I'm going to shorten up my walk and I'm going to go 30 minutes. So there's a few things that we just need to be mindful for. And this is something that I have worked on throughout the years, because I'm someone during this time of year that I really, really feel more the
effects.
The effects, yeah, but the negative emotions. For example, I just feel naturally more sad. I feel a little bit more like frustrated.
Don't be sad.
I feel like lower amounts of energy. Like I got a little less drive to get up and be moving my body.
Right.
So if you know that these are things that are going to affect you as the season goes into this darker and cooler time of the year, number one is just being mindful of the situation.
Yeah.
And then trying to create like some sort of plan of action to help combat those feelings. So we know, number one, that sunlight is going to be really good for us.
Yep.
And getting outside and getting fresh air is going to be also super crucial. So something that you just have to note is, if you're someone who has like the 9 to 5 job, it's going to be really, really hard. But just trying to get outside for one period of the time, and it doesn't have to be for like a 60-minute walk, even if it's just for like a 10 to 15-minute walk outside, and just seeing the sun, like letting your eyes adjust to the sun, getting like the feeling of the fresh air going into your body.
Yeah.
Going out for like, so if you do work the 9 to 5, the corporate job, usually you have breaks, or usually have like a lunch, for example. So just trying your best to get outside during like a lunch hour where you can just eat your lunch and then go for a walk after.
Yeah. And I would, to like build off of that, is the fact is it is cold out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you plan for it to be cold and you really do dress warm, yes, it is still cold out, but like if you put enough layers and stuff, we are equipped in Canada for this weather. It's not like we don't have jackets that could keep us warm or boots that could keep us warm.
Yeah.
Wear an extra sweatpants over your other pants or whatever it is to keep your legs warm. There's so many options, and you just have to plan for it.
Yeah.
So like something that I feel like I did when we were going through those lockdowns the last few years, and we didn't really have access to the gym, which is the one place where you feel like you can move your body really freely inside. I remember telling myself, like, I'm just gonna commit to like, going outside, even if it's really cold, even if it's kind of dark or gloomy. And I was like, I'm just gonna decide to lean into winter. Like, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
If you just choose to let it depress you, it will.
Yeah.
But if you choose to like lean into the fun side of it or lean into the beauty of it, I got outside more than ever. I was running 3 or 4 days a week outside in the freezing cold, and like I was just putting on the layers and I was just doing it. And I felt like it got easier and easier by just kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid and being like, you know what? I can't control the weather, but I can control myself, and I can control what I wear and what layers I put on. Who cares if you don't look cute?
Yeah.
Just get out there.
Yeah. It's going to be
Just
really
dress
good.
warm.
It's going to be really good for your system. And there's going to be like more friction in terms of doing the actual activity of going out
100%.
there at the beginning. You're going to feel like it's a little harder. But like Susie said, you're going to adjust, and you might go out there and dress warm, and then on the first couple walks you'd be like, oh my god, like my legs are freezing every time. So it's, you know, you make the adjustments, you know, okay, like now on like the third or fourth walk I've adjusted, now my legs are good, but now my hands are cold, so I need an extra pair of gloves or whatever that is. But
I think that the important thing is just making the conscious decision to not let the weather dictate how you live your life. You're never going to be able to control the weather, unfortunately. But you are. I'm like, unfortunately, you can't.
I want the sun.
If we could, we would, but we can't. But you can control your approach to it. And like, it's kind of funny because I feel like this is something my dad said once as a joke, but like, it's kind of true. What did he say? The weather is a mindset.
Yeah, in Australia.
When
it was raining in Australia.
It was raining and cold one day, and he was like, no, guys, the weather is a mindset.
Yeah.
But it's kind of true in this situation. You can let the weather destroy 5 months of your life every year in Canada, or you can just be like, you know what? My mindset is I'm just going to dress warm and get outside, rain or snow or cold or whatever, and then you become in control.
Yeah. I also feel like when it comes to wintertime, people are like, oh, you don't go outside, it's too cold out, like don't go outside. Okay, like
No.
there's a couple days in Montreal in Canada,
Outlying days
where it goes down like a crazy amount, where we're having like really like sub freezing weather, sub 35, But it's just like, hey, most of the winter, you
Most of the
guys,
time,
you guys should be
-10.
getting outside, and you guys should be going for walks, you guys. And if you can, do it during hours of sunlight. This will
And-
make your system so much happier
If
and
you're
so
someone
much
who likes
more
winter
better.
sports, lean in. Go skiing or skating or
Yeah, that's a good-
snowboarding or all of those things,
Yep.
because they are things that are unique for this time of year that you can't do during the summertime.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm not someone who does winter sports, so I'm bad at. But that's a really good point. If
Yeah.
you can do activities
I love
at the
cross
same
country
time,
skiing. It's so fun.
yeah. So that's number one, is getting outside. I would say number two would be when we're typically inside more often, we have food more accessible to us for more time of the day.
And also, I feel like you crave those heartier foods because it's cold and you want to snuggle up with your bowl of chili or pasta or
Chili.
I don't know. I was just trying to think of like something that you would eat in the cold.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any chili eater listeners.
100%. People eat chili in the winter. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Stop judging me.
I'm not judging you. It was a great example. But yes, so for sure, you're going to be craving. Actually, Susie made a really amazing, was it butternut squash soup the other day?
So good.
Inspired by one of her friends who made it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, she brought it to Thanksgiving and it was so good that I needed to make it myself.
So Susie made one, and I'm not someone that wants to eat soup during the summertime, but wintertime I love it, and Susie made a delicious soup. But there are things that you can do, guys, that will make it healthy and also be comforting at the same time. Like Susie put incredible fresh ingredients into this soup, and all it is like pureed vegetables.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. So you want to just be mindful that if you're inside more often, that calories are going to be all around you and probably easily
And also,
accessible.
if you're inside more, you're actually using less calories. So you need
Exactly,
to be reducing, not increasing the amount you consume.
Yeah, it's definitely something you need to be mindful of if you're moving less. And so if you're someone who, let's say, is the person who eats similar every single week, but then winters comes around and you just are less active, maybe you're even going to the office less, maybe you're doing more at home work, and you're doing less walking outside, or even you stop running during the winter time, but you keep your gym membership the same and you're keeping your frequency at the gym the same, but all your other activity starts to go down.
Yeah.
Well, if you keep your same food intake going, well, what's probably going to happen is you're going to start to consume more energy than what you're burning in a day, so you're going to start gaining a little bit of weight. So it's just things to be mindful when you're at home. And in terms of the foods that you really just want to try your best to fill yourself up with, is for sure protein, but also we talked about this in the immune system and the balanced nutrition podcast, but just getting lots of colors and vegetables and fruits onto your plate and into your system.
Oh, I'm going to say it again for the third podcast in a row. Nature's medicine.
Nature's medicine. Yes. Yeah. Get as many nutrients, whole food nutrients into your body.
100%.
Yeah. So that would be tip number 2.
Okay. So wait, what was tip number 1?
Tip number 1 is getting outside.
Get outside. Tip number 2, eat well.
Eat well and just be mindful of the surroundings, and maybe even just trying to make like healthy either
conscious of your
meals
nutrition,
or healthy recipes around things that are more comforting, like the soup, for example.
Love a good potage.
Potash, yeah.
Okay. Third tip. Keep coming to the gym because we're
For
inside.
sure.
The gym is indoors.
Yeah.
There's no excuse not to come to the gym.
Yeah. Snow
You live in Canada.
is not an excuse. Put your winter tires on. Get your training in, guys.
100%.
You're moving, like we said, you're most likely moving less in the winter. It's important that you keep the frequency the same at the gym. Do not decrease it. And if anything, maybe even increase it. If you're coming 3-4 times.
Compensate for the lack of other stuff.
If you're coming 3-4 times, try to come 4-5 times. Try to increase it a little bit. Plus, there's the community aspect. There's a lot of, A lot
That's
of
gonna help
things that
so
will help
much.
boost your overall mood
Yep.
is when you're around other people who are pushing you, a coach who is helping you get one more rep and add 5 more pounds, and there's just that whole community
And just like
aspect
the
of
socialization of seeing
Exactly.
people is going to give you that happy, positive rush of feelings that we need to really try and focus on getting during these darker, colder, depressier months.
exactly, yeah.
Hug your friends.
Hug your friends. Yeah. Just seeing people is for sure going to just boost your overall mood, and the effects of exercise itself will help significantly. Especially, we know this, the evidence is extremely clear that working out and training is going to significantly improve the mental health side of things.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to be training. And if you're like me and you know that you're going to feel more sad and more
Right.
of the negative emotions, then training needs to be a must. It is something that is in my schedule that I cannot miss out, because I know
Non-negotiable.
that if I miss it, I'm going to be feeling worse. So it's definitely something that has to be done for me.
Amazing.
One thing I have also added,
Is this tip 4?
tip number 4, something that I've personally added here that I felt has helped me a lot, and we talked about it earlier before, but that was the natural sunlight on your skin is going to significantly, or during this time of year, you're going to get much less sun on your skin, because even if you're going outside, you're going to be covering up because of the temperature. So before, when you used to
Right.
walk, you'd be in your t-shirt, your shorts, flip-flops, whatever, you would have more sun exposure. But even if you're going on walks during the
You're
winter
bundled
time,
up, no skin showing.
you've got a face mask on,
Literally.
you've got-
Goggles,
you've got like maybe
mittens, hats,
a couple parts of your body that are exposed to
like
the
the
sun.
tip of your nose, and
Yeah.
that's it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. So I would highly recommend, and this has been something that has been game changer for me, that I would highly recommend taking a vitamin D3 supplement. It is
Oh,
something
yeah.
that has that I'm so grateful that I started. It has
You notice a
significantly
big difference.
improves my mood during the darker times of the year.
Take that vitamin D, baby. We need
Super.
you smiley.
super important for that.
So
And then-
that's tip 4. Take vitamin D.
Tip number 4, yeah. And I guess we'll finish with one more tip.
Tip 5.
Tip number 5.
Tell them, baby.
And that's going to be trying to manage your sleep hours. We'll call them hours. Sleep hours. Sleep schedule. Let's call that. And what I mean by that is some of you listeners have a fixed work schedule. A lot of our listeners do not. For example, Susie and I are entrepreneurs, so we have a kind of a different schedule every single day.
Yeah, every day looks a little different.
And even some people who do have like the corporate job and they do work the 9 to 5, sometimes, one day we're working from home so we could wake up later, one day we're not, whatever your schedule is.
Yep.
Sometimes you have to take the kids to school. But managing a sleep schedule, not just what time you wake up in the morning, but also like
when you go to bed.
what time you go to bed at is
Trying to
gonna
be consistent
gonna
with
help
that,
a
right?
lot. Yeah, especially as time goes back 1 hour, our circadian rhythm is going to be a little bit messed up when we wake up, or now that they've listened to this podcast. It's been a few days.
Can't wait
But
for
you're-
the extra hour of sleep.
Yeah, but you're going to get that extra hour, but you're going to feel really, really
then
weird in
your
your
whole
system.
day is off. Like
Yeah.
lunch doesn't feel like lunchtime, and
Yeah.
dinner doesn't feel like dinner time.
Exactly. So getting into a normal sleep schedule, making sure your routine about waking up at the same time, if you can, same time every single day, and it's going to help you get to sleep at the same time every night. If you wake up at different times during the day and you go
Right.
to bed at different times at night, then your system is going to have a hard time adjusting. So, and we know that
We don't keep routine that way.
if we're not sleeping well, then our moods are the regulation of our mood and
We
our
get
hormones
cranky.
is going to be all over the place. So just trying to really zone in on it's darker at this time. Close the lights, close the excessive lights like the hallway lights, the bathroom lights, the
Right.
dining room lights, turn off the lights that you don't need towards the end of the night so your body can start to naturally produce
Wind
melatonin
down.
and it'll start to get you more fatigued and be like routine and adamant about waking up at the same time every single day, and that will help a lot. So,
love it.
is that kind of good? I mean, these
I
were
feel
like
those were like very practical tips.
these are like
Tip 1, get outside.
Yeah.
Whether it's cold or not, dress warm.
Yeah.
Tip 2, eat well.
Yeah, eat well. Be mindful of the movement that you're going to be doing. You're going to be probably moving less, and just be mindful of the food that's around you, and maybe try to figure out the recipes that will help with the comfort food side of things.
Tip 3, work out more.
Work out more.
Go to the gym, see your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to CrossFit Max specifically.
Or maybe not work out more. Maybe you're killing it in the gym, but just don't work out less, because that's...
Be consistent with the gym.
Yeah.
At CrossFit Max with all your friends, because we love you.
One of our pet peeves is when someone's like, oh, it's snowing outside, so I couldn't make it to the gym.
Bro, you live in Canada.
Yeah.
That's like not an excuse.
Yeah. If we're at the gym,
you could be at the gym.
You could definitely be at the gym. Just drive slower and be mindful when you're driving.
And leave 5-10 minutes earlier so you're not stressed.
Yep. And then...
And also leave 5-10 minutes earlier so you have time to take off your jacket and your boots and get all ready for class.
Yeah.
Things just take longer in the winter.
Things do take longer.
Number 4.
Take your vitamin D3.
Get your vitamins.
And tip number 5 is making sure you're following a good sleep schedule. Good?
Love it.
Before we end the podcast, let's do client of the week.
Pew, 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 pew.
Shout out to Giordano.
Gio.
He has been killing it the last few weeks.
Extremely consistent.
He's been very consistent. It's been a lot of fun. He's bringing in a fun energy to the group classes. He's been a member for what, 2-3 months now?
I don't know.
I'm not sure how long he's been a member for, but
not super long, but he's been really consistent. His wifey brought him in.
Yeah, Wasila.
Which is awesome. And funnily enough, I knew Gio back when we were in CEGEP.
Yeah.
He played on the John Abbott football team, and I was a cheerleader.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We go way back.
Yeah.
Anyways, he has been totally crushing it in the gym. He's really dived in head first. He's already improving incredibly in his CrossFit.
Yeah. Just did a partner workout with Cam today, and they pushed real hard together.
Yeah, I could see them. I was watching them from the front desk.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, Gio, thank you for your positive energy. You've been killing it.
Keep up the good work. Thank you for bringing the good vibes.
Thanks for bringing the heat today at the 12 p.m. class.
That's what I wanted to say, but then I was like, is it weird if I say that?
Speaking about warm climates, Gio's about to go to, is it Mexico or?
Punta Cana.
Punta Cana, yeah, for a solid
Lucky
week.
duck.
Yeah. So enjoy that trip, Gio. Thanks for being such an awesome member.
And we'll see you when you get back.
And we'll catch all of you guys in the next episode.
That was so
Thank
awkward.
you guys for listening.
I'm sorry for the awkward exit, guys.
You're so awkward.
I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Just tell them you love them.
I love you guys.
Just tell them how much they mean to you.
You mean the world to me.
And on that note,
bye.
see ya.